Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Inuyashiki Episode 5. So yeah, we're on to another episode of Inuyashiki, and it's surprising I'm actually getting to this, considering I just sat and recorded 3 episodes of Steins Gate, which was completely unintentional, but hey, when it happens, it happens. So yeah, we're doing another episode of Inuyashiki today as well. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. This series has been proving to be quite amazing. With its theming, its messages, and just the amazing character dynamic between our main hero and our main protagonist. I'm really interested to see exactly where this goes at this point, because right now we're just kind of seeing what each of them are doing with their powers, which for the first few episodes is fine. But I do feel that there needs to be more to this at this point. Something has to change things up. Whether it's a legitimate confrontation between them that maybe will make them go dark on their powers for a little bit just because of the impact of the meeting between them. They've already had kind of a meeting, but not really much happened from it. I'm talking like a legitimate fight, a legitimate battle, something that won't solve things now, just a single first real battle. I think that introducing maybe another main character, or maybe further developing one of the ones we already have, would be good too. There is this girl in the opening, and I'm not sure if we've seen her before or not. I really am not. The main villain, Hero, does have a friend who we've seen, and who we've seen has kind of left his side and doesn't want to be friends with him anymore because of what Hero's willing to do. But I still think there's something more they could be doing. Because at the moment, it's still mostly just Hero is going out being an asshole, killing people, and being completely sociopathic about it. While Inuyashiki is being like the saintliest old man possible. Helping kitties get healed from being hit by a car. Going and helping like all these patients in the hospital. Stuff like that. I talked about last time how, yeah, this basically is a superhero show, and I didn't go too into detail about my love of superheroes, so let's talk about that here. I'm sure you've seen me in past reactions and stuff wearing my Supergirl blouse, and I've reacted to shows like Young Justice and whatnot in the past as well. I've made countdown lists, like my top 10 favorite movies from the MCU. I'm constantly raving about the new Spider-Man game for PS4. It is very clear that I love superheroes. I just always have. From Spider-Man to Batman, Wonder Woman to Captain Marvel, I just love the concept of them. And there's one big reason behind it. I've talked before about the concept of self-sacrifice and how insanely important it is to my life, how I value it so greatly. I talked about it in the My Little Pony Season 7 episode, Campfire Tales, in which the character of Mistmane embodied self-sacrifice. I've talked about it in various different reactions. And it's still, to this day, one of the most important aspects of life that I can impart upon anyone. If I would ever have to give any advice to anyone, it would have to be to embody self-sacrifice. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out there and push someone out of the way of oncoming traffic. No. I'm not saying that you have to literally give up your life for someone. Self-sacrifice can come in many different ways. You can sacrifice your time, your energy. You could sacrifice doing something that you would really love in order to help others instead. Let's say you had to choose between going and seeing this movie that you were really excited for on its debut night, but instead you chose to go help a friend move. That would be self-sacrifice. And it's just as important and just as necessary as someone, again, pushing someone out of the way of a moving vehicle. It may not seem as big of a deal. You're not saving anyone's life by going and helping them move. But you're doing something invaluable to them. Something that helps them a great deal, while also sacrificing your own time, your own energy, and in some cases, something that would make you extremely excited and happy. And from my experience, from doing this in many different cases, it usually, in the end, makes you feel really good about yourself. Here's a big example of this. I love going to conventions. I adore conventions. They're one of the greatest moments of the year for me. No matter which convention it is, it's just always that amazing. And honestly, it's just one of the safest places for me that I feel. And the biggest convention I go to every year is Youmacon in Detroit. I go there every year, and for the first couple years I was just attending, and I was enjoying the hell out of it. But then the third year, I found out that I didn't have the money to just attend. I couldn't pay for a badge. And so the idea was brought up to me about helping staff it, about helping staff in exchange for getting free entry, a free badge and whatnot. And my initial thoughts when I first heard about that was like, but I want to go to the convention. I want to experience meeting the guests. I want to go to the panels. I want to see the cosplayers. I don't want to go to a convention to work. I'm going to a convention to avoid shit like that. Those were my thoughts. But I realized I couldn't go to the convention at all unless I did this that year. And I was assured that I'd still have time to go do all that other stuff. Maybe not as much, sure, but I'd still have time to do it all. And that they would even work with me to plan out my schedule so that I could definitely see the stuff I wanted to see the most. I was still unsure about it, but I agreed to do it, and I did it. I've been staffing every year since. And not always because I have to, but because I want to. And all I do is sit or stand in front of a panel room door and check people's badges, or if it's an 18+ panel, I check their IDs as well. That's all I do. And it's one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had the pleasure of taking part in. Getting to just see the excitement on these congoers' faces as they enter the rooms for these awesome panels. Having them thank me for just doing a simple job, like checking badges and whatnot. It's so rewarding. Getting to even discuss things with them outside the panel. I've had conversations with many guests. I didn't know them. I had no idea who they were. And even afterwards, most of them, I've never even learned their names. But I've discussed things with them for various things we might have in common. Various shows or games or whatnot. I've talked with them about their cosplays. They've complimented my cosplays, because I'm always in cosplay even when working. And it's just like, it's such a rewarding experience. Plus, it just feels so good to help. It really does. And guess what? I'm sacrificing my time. I'm sacrificing time I could be out there attending panels. I could be meeting guests. I could be checking out the vendor hall or getting cosplay photos and videos of all the awesome cosplayers around. I could be doing so much during that time. I work just around 20 hours every year at Youmacon throughout the entire 4 days. And that may seem like a lot, but to be fair, when it's spread throughout 4 days, that's really not a lot. But either way, it's like, even during that time, like maybe 5 hours a day, I could be doing something else. I could be checking out panels that I wanted to go to, and yada yada, as I've said. But I'm sacrificing that to help out, to give back to this convention that means so much to me. And it's rewarded me. I've met a lot of great friends, found a lot of awesome experiences. It's just been so wonderful to be able to do this, to be given the opportunity to do this. And the reason I'm talking about self-sacrifice so much here is I think that Inuyashiki, the character, kind of embodies that ideal. He's going out and doing heroic work. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. And he's sacrificing time he could be doing other stuff. I mean, he doesn't have the most amazing life, of course, but I'm sure he could be doing other stuff, and he's sacrificing his just safety. I mean, granted, he is a cyborg made with very high-tech alien tech, and he doesn't have to worry too much about like getting shot or getting or getting punched or anything. But like even when he wasn't fully aware of that, wasn't fully aware of how strong and invulnerable he is, he still acted. And then you have someone like Hiro, our main villain, who is the complete opposite. Instead of self-sacrifice, he embodies sacrifice for self. As in, he embodies the idea that everything around him is worthy of being sacrificed for him, for his personal pleasure, for his selfish desires. He sees himself as so high above everyone else because of this power that he's gotten. Plus his natural sociopathic mindset and tendencies that apparently he's been showing since childhood. And it's combining to make it so that he believes that he has every right to do this. And that he's not only okay with sacrificing others for his own sick desires, but he actually thinks that he has not just the right to do it, but the obligation to. Like that he should be doing it, not just can. And it's this amazing just difference between these two characters. This contrast that builds them up as so starkly different that I honestly don't think that this series can end without one of them killing the other. One of these two has to kill the other, I feel. The only other way it would happen is if somehow Inuyashiki would be able to convince Hiro that what he's doing is wrong. But I don't see that being possible. Hiro seems like he's just too far gone. But you never know. Honestly, though, with the way the series is written, with the way the characters are handled, I think that either way, that this is going to continue being awesome. That they really have a masterpiece on their hands here. And I can't wait to see more, so we're not going to waste any more time. I just want to get on with this episode. Plus, to be fair, it's about 6 o'clock now, so I probably should, just to be safe. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so this episode showed a lot. But the big thing that it did was it humanized our villain. So up to this point, Hiro's been shown to be psychopathic, sociopathic, has just absolutely zero caring for other people and their strifes and their lives. But in this episode, we saw him interact with his family. We saw him have regrets. We saw that he actually might even not want to be a cyborg anymore. And he even expressed this desire to not kill anymore because of how his mother reacted to it all. He clearly cares for his mother, which is great. This humanizes him. It shows that he's not just pure evil, that it does have sympathy and empathy within him, but I don't know, something about it is just, for some reason, he's very, like, connected to certain people, especially his mother. But when it comes to other situations, it's like other people aren't as important to him. So he's still definitely messed up. He's still definitely a sociopath and needs to be stopped. And I don't think this is the end. We're only like, what, halfway through the series? So this isn't the end. But I'm interested to see how he, like, where this goes. So were the cops coming, like, and everything? Was that real at the end there? That I'm not sure about. That was interesting, though. Another thing to note, we had Hiro's former friend. He has now joined forces with Inuyashiki. And the way that he got Inuyashiki to come to him was just brilliant and hilarious. He kind of put together that maybe there was someone else with these powers out there because Hiro just wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff that he's hearing about. Stopping the crime syndicate, healing all these people. He puts together that, no, with the way Hiro is now, he wouldn't be doing that. So he's thinking, like, maybe there's someone else. And then he remembers about Hiro being able to have that supersonic hearing. And so he starts calling out, like, oh, help me, I'm in trouble, and stuff. And it doesn't seem to work, so he thinks nothing of it. But then a little bit later, Inuyashiki comes to his door, and he's talking to the woman, to his mother's talking to Inuyashiki, and she's, like, confusing. He's like, are you sure you're not hurt or anything? And it's like, there's no robbers or whatnot, and she's, like, all confused. But Hiro's friend, I still don't know his name, I'm sorry, but he ends up hearing this, and he's like, no, I'll get to it, and he explains that he knows everything, and he lets him know that Hiro's his friend and all, and now he's kind of working as his sidekick. He doesn't have powers, he doesn't have even a lot of, like, martial arts training or anything, but he's still there, he's still helping. And that's where this got interesting, because he's helping Inuyashiki learn how to fight, it seems. That seems to be one of their core things that they're doing. He helps Inuyashiki learn how to use his powers offensively, which Inuyashiki really hasn't done much of, at least not consciously. Which is, again, that's a big difference. Inuyashiki sees himself as a killing machine, but that he's choosing to help all these people and be heroic as a way to kind of distract him from that fact. And, excuse me while I get political, this is comparable to the gun control debate. Guns are killing weapons, straight up. That is their purpose, that is what they're made for, but they can be used for protection, for hunting in order to gain sustenance for yourself and others. I've talked a little bit about this in the past. I don't know if it was with this show or with another, but guns, while made to be killing weapons, can be used to help people, yes, but they're still killing weapons. They're still objects of death, and that's kind of how Inuyashiki is viewing himself. He's like, I'm still a killer machine. There's no getting around that. But in spite of that, I'm doing these good things to try and distract myself from that, to try and do something good with what I have. And as Hiro's friend put it, he's the most human person he knows. He's a hero because of these beliefs, because of these thoughts, this mindset he has. It's heroic. And if you hear that in the background, yeah, it's starting to rain, I guess, so. But while Inuyashiki's learning how to actually be offensive with his weapon systems, doing something he's never, like, really done consciously before. On the other hand, we have Hiro, who's been this, again, this mass murderer, this killer, this sociopath, healing someone of cancer. I mean, he healed his friend's paper cup, but that's nothing. This time, he heals his mother of terminal cancer. That is a legitimate, good move, and a good thing to use his powers for. And it's mainly because of how much he does truly care for his mother. But that's an interesting dynamic. We have our villain humanized in this episode to the point where he actually heals someone of a terminal disease. And we have our hero viewing himself as a killing machine, who's starting to train to use his powers offensively. We're seeing both of these two characters going against what they've been doing, using their powers in the opposite way that they have been so far. And that's so vastly interesting. Inuyashiki doesn't believe he'll be able to stop Hiro without killing him, which is what I brought up in my pre-thoughts. And Hiro is trying to stop killing. This is such an interesting dynamic. What if, and this is just speculation, and I honestly hope this doesn't end up being true, but what if in the end of the series, Hiro has gotten to a point where he's just trying to escape all of his past actions, and he's trying to do good at this point, while Inuyashiki is so determined in hunting Hiro down and stopping him that he kind of becomes like a villain in his own right, and they kind of swap roles. What if in the end Inuyashiki ends up being the villain and Hiro ends up being the good guy, or, well, not really a good guy, but the more innocent one, the one who's being, you know, hunted down? What if they just swap their roles like that in the end? That would be amazing. Honestly, if this show did that and continued to have everything leading up to that be as amazing as the show has been so far, and that big finale be as amazing, if it did this all, this would be in my top 3 anime of all time. Not even a question. Not even a slight bit of doubts there. But it would have to do it basically perfectly, which, again, based on these 5 episodes we've seen so far, is very possible. Now, if you know what's going to happen in the future, do not spoil anything. I really want to remain spoiler-free on this series now. I mean, I did before, but I really want to now. Do not tell me anything. Do not tell me if I'm right. Do not tell me if I'm wrong. Do not even tell me if I'm close or not. I don't want to know. But I'm really kind of hoping that happens, but at the same time, I don't want it to happen because I don't want Inuyashiki to end up becoming the bad guy. You know? I don't want it to be kind of like a Harvey Dent moment from The Dark Knight. You know, Harvey Dent, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, and how that was foreshadowing how he becomes Two-Face. I don't want that to kind of happen, where it's like Harvey Dent's pursuit of justice and being a great attorney led him eventually to becoming a villain due to the Joker's actions against him. I don't want it to be where Inuyashiki's pursuit of Hiro and stopping him in order to save others ends up overtaking him and leading him to becoming villainous down the line. I just think that the possibility is there, and it would be phenomenal, but I just don't want it to happen, personally, you know? I'm conflicted on it, but that's a good thing. This show is phenomenal with its moral not really ambiguity, because it's definitely telling us that what Hiro is doing is very wrong. But it's moral complexity. It's showing us that not all bad guys, even the most sociopathic of them, are completely evil. That they do have human sides to them. That they're still people. They still have others they love. They still have things they care about. And it shows that even the most well-intentioned, nicest, and most helpful of people can end up getting lost in that. And get lost in it to such a degree that they end up becoming the very thing they were fighting against. This episode is bringing so much depth and complexity to these characters in this story that it's almost hard to keep track of. It's insane. But I love it so much because it's showing that the people who created this, I don't know if this was based off a manga or not, but if it was, the original mangaka, or whoever the original creator was, that they put a lot of care and attention into this. That they wanted to make sure that this was really, really making us, as the viewers, think about things. The creator wanted us to make these kinds of connections, wanted us to feel these kinds of things, and have these kinds of complex thoughts towards what's happening. It's very clearly intentional. And I'm really excited to see what they do, what happens next, because I really, really hope this doesn't end poorly or start to go downhill, because this series has been amazing. Like, shockingly amazing. When this series first aired, I had heard about it and everything. I even heard a little bit of what it was about, but it's like, it never crossed my mind to watch it. I just was never interested. Even after hearing people praising it to high heaven. I just never really thought about watching it. It never crossed my mind. And eventually I thought, oh, maybe I'll watch it someday. And when I started doing things, like, I decided I could put this on my poll and everything. And so I did, and I'm so glad that you guys voted for it. Even if it was pretty much tied with KO. I'm so glad you guys voted for it. I'm so glad that I got to react to it. I finally got to see it, because I really wish I had honestly seen it sooner, but I'm also glad that I get to see it with all of you, that I can discuss this all with you, that we can have these discussions and debates and thoughts and everything. It's so good that I think that this is the perfect show, one of the perfect shows to react to. This is the kind of show that I feel like I needed to do on this channel. There are other shows that I've reacted to that I've loved, but I felt like, maybe it'd be better to watch on my own. And I've ended up dropping those for that reason. Not because I didn't like them, but because I'd rather watch on my own. But this is one of those ones that I needed from the very beginning to watch on this channel. And I'm so glad I did. But either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Inuyashiki. What did you think about the complexity of both Inuyashiki and Hiro's characters? What did you think about how they kind of reversed their roles in this episode to a little bit of a degree? And do you think that ending is a dream as well? A nightmare for Hiro? Him kind of coming to terms in his mind about what he's doing is wrong and where it could lead. Once again, if you know what's going to happen, do not spoil anything. Please. I beg of you. I don't want to know anything. But I do want to hear your thoughts, either way, as long as they're spoiler-free. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles, shed tears along the way, you're still standing, live, love, laugh.